Russia's ambassador to the United Nations has accused Ukrainian intelligence services of aiding rebels fighting Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's government in Syria. The envoy said that rebels fighting with Islamist group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham have not only concealed the fact that they're supported by Ukraine, but they're also openly flaunting this. He said that there was an identifiable trail showing Ukraine's military intelligence service providing weapons to the militants in northwest Syria. The UNGA called on Israel to withdraw from the occupied Palestinian territories and pushed for the creation of a Palestinian state, convening an international conference in June to try to jumpstart a two-state solution. In a resolution passed by a 157-8 vote, with the United States and Israel among those voting no and 7 abstentions, the Assembly expressed unwavering support in accordance with international law for the two-state solution of Israel and Palestine. The Assembly said that two states should be living side by side in peace and security within the recognized borders based on the pre-1967 borders. The Philippines has accused the China Coast Guard of firing water cannons and side-swiping a government vessel during a maritime patrol near the disputed Scarborough Shoal on Wednesday. This incident occurred after Beijing claimed to have exercised control over the ship. The Philippine vessel was reportedly on a routine patrol in the area when the China Coast Guard intervened, sparking tensions between the two nations.
Hilang. Collision, starboard side. Sir, malapit na sila, sir. Collision, sir. Starboard side.
Hundreds of Brazilian teachers took to the streets in front of the Rio de Janeiro City Council to protest a proposed municipal bill on workload and leave that they say it will negatively affect the employment benefits. Teachers say that the bill is not just an attack on education, but also on the society. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado is calling on Brazil to recognize Edmundo Gonzalez as Venezuela's legitimate president. In a video conference with the Brazilian Congress, Machado urged Brazil to take this step to increase pressure on President Nicolas Maduro. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva welcomed Maduro to Brasilia last year, but tensions between the two governments escalated for weeks after Venezuela's contentious election. Georgian police used water cannons and tear gas to disperse demonstrators at a pro-EU demonstration outside Parliament building in Tbilisi after thousands gathered for a sixth straight night of demonstrations in the capital. The country of some 3.7 million has been rocked by demonstrations since the ruling Georgian Green Party announced last week that it would halt EU accession talks amid post-election crisis. Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te made a historic visit to the Pacific nation of Tuvalu on Wednesday as part of his mission to strengthen international support for Taiwan amidst China's efforts to lure away its remaining allies. During his day trip, Lai was warmly received by Tuvalu's Prime Minister Filipe Theo and Governor Tofiga Vevalo Falani. This visit marks a major milestone in Taiwan's diplomatic efforts, as Tuvalu is one of the 12 nations that still recognizes Taiwan diplomatically. Prior to his Tuvalu visit, Lai stopped in the Marshall Islands, where President Hilda Hain reaffirmed her government's commitment to remain a steadfast ally of Taiwan. Lai's trip will also include a stopover in the U.S. territory of Guam. These diplomatic efforts are crucial for Taiwan as China continues to pressure its remaining allies to switch allegiance to Beijing. A man accused of 2 gruesome unsolved killings in 1977 arrived in Australia after being extradited from Italy ahead of his court appearance. We're talking about Perry Corombolis. He has been charged with killing 2 women in an almost 50-year-old cold case dubbed as the Easy Street Murders. The bodies of the victims, Suzanne Armstrong and Suzanne Bartlett, were discovered at their house in Easy Street, Melbourne on January 13, 1977 with multiple stab wounds. A small asteroid, approximately 70 centimeters in diameter, entered the Earth's atmosphere and produced a dazzling fireball in Russia's far eastern region of Yakutia on Wednesday. The European Space Agency detected the asteroid about 12 hours prior to its appearance, predicting its impact with remarkable accuracy. Residents in the Oleg-Minsk and Linsk districts witnessed a spectacular display describing a comet-like tail followed by a brilliant flash. Fortunately, no damage was reported and officials confirmed that all precautions had been taken. The UN has appealed for more $47.4 billion to provide important assistance next year to nearly 190 million people around the world, as surging conflicts and the climate crisis drive up the needs. The United Nations' new humanitarian chief, Tom Fletcher, told reporters in Geneva that the world is on fire, warning that swelling inequality combined with the convergence of conflict and climate change had created a perfect storm. An illegal online trading platform dealing in drugs, stolen data and other illicit goods has been seized by German authorities. Called Crime Network, the platform reportedly saw transactions worth $98 million between 2018 and 2024. As per reports, the transactions were carried out in Bitcoin and Monero cryptocurrencies, with the site charging fees and commissions up to 1 to 5% of the total sales value. Operating since 2012, the platform reportedly hosts more than 100 vendors and 100,000 customers. Meanwhile, the German police have arrested an unidentified 29-year-old man suspected of acting as one of the administrators of the site. Tech giant Meta has said that despite concerns regarding the possible interference of generative AI in major elections around the globe this year, the same did not happen while speaking at a conference. Nick Clegg, Meta's president of global affairs, said fake accounts designed to spread propaganda or false information were unsuccessful in attracting a large audience on both Facebook and Instagram. He added that bad actors failed to effectively use AI technology. Meanwhile, Meta has said that most of the cover influence operations it has disrupted in recent years were carried out by actors from Russia, Iran and China. Japan is planning to use AI to police anime and manga pirating websites. Every year, Japan ends up losing billions of dollars in lost revenue due to piracy. As per reports, there are over 1,000 illegal websites on the internet that are offering free downloads of Japanese content, most of which are globally renowned manga graphic books. Under the new proposed scheme proposed by Tokyo's cultural agency, AI will go through the web for sites pirating manga books and anime cartoons. Gold steadies after rising on Tuesday as political turmoil in South Korea and France buoyed demand for haven assets. Bullion traded near $2,640 an ounce after climbing as much as 0.6% in the previous session. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol made a surprise declaration of martial law on Tuesday night before rescinding the decree just hours later. In France, President Emmanuel Macron called on lawmakers to reject a vote that would topple the government. The precious metal has fallen more than 5% from a record high in late October as the dollar rallied following Donald Trump's election win and tensions easing in West Asia. Still, prices remain about 28% higher this year, supported by U.S. monetary easing and central bank purchases. Cryptocurrency speculators keep Bitcoin in sight of the landmark $100,000 level in anticipation of further steps to support the sector by U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. The largest digital asset traded at about $96,000 on Wednesday, following a more than 40% advance since Trump's November 5th election victory. Crypto-friendly contestants are vying to head the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. Trump's transition team has also held discussions over whether to create the first White House post dedicated to digital asset policy. On Wall Street, there are growing indications of more willingness to engage with the market. Asian markets retreated after overnight political drama in South Korea, which added to regional uncertainties, though the Kospi and Seoul fell less than 2%. Yoon's move initially caused the won to plummet to two-year low against the US dollar with losses of up to 2%. This is the sharpest one-day drop since the market's seismic reaction to Trump's 2016 election. Reaction to Trump's 2024 election victory. The won recovered some of those losses on Wednesday. Shares of Samsung Electronics, the country's biggest company, fell 1.1%. Meanwhile, the country's financial regulator said that they were prepared to deploy over $7 billion into a stock market stabilization fund at any time. Australia's economic growth remained sluggish last quarter as a surge in government spending underpinned the expansion. This highlights the Reserve Bank's policy challenge as inflation remains stubbornly sticky. The GDP rose 0.8% from a year earlier. This is the weakest reading excluding the pandemic since December 1991, when the economy was in recession. On a per capita basis, GDP slid for a seventh consecutive quarter, also the worst result since 1991. The data sparked a drop in the currency, down 1%, and a fall in policy-sensitive three-year government bond yields. Traders boosted bets to fully price in April interest rate cut compared with about 60% odds yesterday.